Okay. Um, Hello everyone. This is teacher Steve here again. Welcome back to the channel, Steve at Chinho los Idiomas. This is another video that I wanted to record again, and it is the very first video of this channel, and it was kind of a challenge for myself. And now I have my ideas more clear when I want to say, somewhat more clear. And I think I could do it a lot better now. So, oh my gosh, the motorcycle is distracting, but whatever. So the video is subtitles. Are they good or are they bad? Should you use subtitles when learning or not? Many of us have never even thought about this until a certain point of our lives. Maybe when you got involved or when you got immersed into all of this information of the language learning world. This topic came up. Should you use subtitles or not? Alright, so the thing with subtitles, I'm going to tell a little bit of my story to make this a little bit clearer. So I already told my story. It is the first episode of the frequently asked questions, where I told my story with languages and teaching. I already told this story in more depth, or I covered more the entire length of my story with languages and teaching. However, I wanted to say that during a period of time, I would learn English through sitcoms, okay? Through Friends, your number one series to learn a foreign language, and other things that were broadcasted in the Warner Brothers channel back then. So they weren't available for whatever reason in Spanish. They were only available with subtitles in Spanish. I would watch them because they were mostly fun, most of the time. At least Friends was fun all the time. Anyway, that's beyond the topic. And the point is that I did that for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, maybe more than that. And I actually learned a little bit of English like that. Some of it realizing it, some of it without realizing. I would realize that the characters come in and say, "So, you did this the other day?" That's just accepted. So I would get familiar with new words, with structures. But mostly I didn't I didn't understand everything they were saying in a raw way, in an unfiltered way. And I noticed that this many years later, this is what was going on, that the subtitles were actually an obstacle. They were hindering me from learning English. And this is why I want to tell you guys. I don't know every story of every person that has ever used subtitles to learn a language. But just turn them off, alright? Make yourself a favor and turn them off. Because when you speak with a person in real life, or when you're watching a YouTube channel, or, well, YouTube has subtitles mostly, or when you're watching TV, or you name it, you usually do not have subtitles. And if you want to learn the language, to stay with another person for one of these purposes, if you want to understand it without subtitles, turn them off. Well, but I cannot understand without the subtitles. That's the point, okay? Now let me explain why. So let's say I have this. This is I'm not gonna say the name of this in English. Vaso. You now know one word in Spanish, okay? Vaso. Or I can also do this and say piquiere, piquiere, right? And so on. Oh, sorry. What happened there? There were no subtitles, unless you turn them on YouTube. I don't know if my videos have subtitles. There were no subtitles otherwise, but you already know vaso, which is Spanish, and bicchiere, which is Italian. What happened there? There's context. What happened there is that you have a brain, and it works. It really does. You're smart. You're watching this, you're smart. Okay? And when you turn off the subtitles, you don't have these crutches to help you out, and you have to use your brain actually to try to understand. And the funny thing is, even if you're not like actively, I'm going to try to understand, I'm going to try to understand, your brain does it for you as long as you pay a little attention. Sometimes, when you're on your listening training, you can listen for a few hours and you're not even paying full attention, so you end up getting or catching less information. However, your subconscious is still learning, and one day you wake up and you're speaking English like I am doing right now, and you're not thinking about how do I say this, how do I say that. It's just the idea that comes out very fast, and you don't know where you learned all of these structures, of these words, of the ways that the different words that you are using are pronounced. You don't know where that came from. Even if you weren't paying attention, your brain still gets some of it, right? Of course, well, I wouldn't say of course, but from my experience, what I've noticed is that when you pay attention, and I cannot do this a lot because I get ADHD, when you pay attention, you retain a lot more of the info. So it's gonna get a little bit dark here. I kind of wanted to try to do this again in many languages, but yeah, I just want to summarize, I guess, or try to summarize the main ideas. With subtitles, your brain doesn't work. Without subtitles, you force your brain to work. You can do it. This is how you learned your first language. What was your first language? Was it Indonesian? Was it English? Was it Spanish? Was it Italian? Mazareya? Was it Jose? Whatever it was. Did you learn it with subtitles? I bet you didn't. But I was a kid back then. But you still have a brain. In fact, you have the brain of an adult. Yes, the brain, I think, is before 25 years old. You can create new neural paths and whatever, and it can be somewhat easier to learn language. Whatever, you can still learn, okay? And you didn't use subtitles. What you're going to notice is that your brain puts together the little pieces of the puzzle in your mind. Oh, these words should use like this. This word means that, and it will come to a point where you don't think, oh, this is the word in my native language, and this is the word in English. You won't need a translation. In fact, all the time this happens to me. I'm speaking in Spanish. I am speaking in Spanish, and I don't know the word for something in Spanish. I know it in English or in some other language, mostly in English, but not really in Spanish. So that's funny. And you're going to notice that you understand more and more and more each time. Now, you might have learned so far with subtitles, so you will still have some information. But and now that information can help you out because now you have pieces of a puzzle. This is called context. And now you have context, and now your brain will have an easier time because the more context, the more pieces of a puzzle you have, the easier it is to clear out the puzzle. And now you will learn faster. Again, I've talked about this, I think in other videos, it is a bell curve. You start learning, you don't really know what to do, you go really slow, then you accelerate. You're learning really fast until you reach a peak, and you start to learn a lot slower, until you reach plateau. But you never really end learning. Now, you never really stop learning. Yeah. So just keep this in mind. Now, another thing that comes out is subtitles, but maybe if I'm learning English and I'm using subtitles in English, maybe that's good. Yet again, when you are speaking with someone, you don't have subtitles, so I encourage you not to use them anyways. But not that you don't use them at all. If they're in the same language, like English, Italian, whatever, you can use them, yes, but try to use them like this. Listen to something. If you don't have a very good level, yes, you just listen to an entire video without subtitles, and maybe the second time you can use the subtitles, or maybe you have a more advanced level, or even if you're a beginner, you can play something, you can try to understand it, you can play it once, 2 times, 3 times. Try to really use your brain, okay? Try to really train your listening comprehension. You really are having a hard time to understand it. Or you think you understand it, but after 10 times of hearing it, you're really not sure. Or after 2 times of hearing it, whatever. Okay, now go back to that part of the video. Turn on the subtitles on the same language, not on your language, and see what it says. And now you can use, okay, Google Translate. You compare what is written with what you hear, so you're training reading and listening at the same time. So if you're gonna use them like that, alright? Okay, there are a lot more things that I can say, but this is the thing. The main topic here is not subtitles. It is listening comprehension, and subtitles hinder that. Subtitles tell you don't need listening comprehension. Alright, this is why a person that goes to live in another country learns the language, and somebody who stays in their own country and watches Friends with subtitles in their own language doesn't quite learn, not at the same level. It's much lower in my experience for what I have seen. And if I can just tell you guys one thing, there are other things that can help you, and there are other things that I want to tell you. But if I can just leave you with one thing, even from this entire channel, about language learning, this one thing would be train your listening. And listening without filters, raw listening. You can check the volume if the volume is alright. There's a common problem that the volume was too low, so you understood nothing. But maybe if you could put it a little bit up, see if that makes a difference, and you can understand more things. Anyways, how that makes it clear, folks, give it a try, okay? Give it a try. Listen to something that's somewhat comprehensible. Okay, now you're not gonna listen to death metal or just hard to comprehend music. Go listen to something chill, a podcast. I don't know, Lex Fridman's podcast. Somebody that speaks in a chill way. In a normal way. You also don't want something too slow, in my opinion. Just a normal rate of speaking, a normal speed. Try it for 40 hours and come back. Tell me what has changed. Yeah, how many of you are going to do that for 40 hours? Sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. And if you notice no progress, if you notice zero progress, then you're okay. It's not the same if you're learning again a language from a different family, as in I speak Romance language and I'm learning the Scandinavian language. It's not the same, but you will at least be familiar with the sounds. There are other things that can complement your listening training so that you can actually start to comprehend the stuff. It's not going to be the same as if I go from Romance language to another Romance language. It's a lot easier. But if you notice no progress in, heck, even in 10 hours, then come back to me and tell me, Steve, I didn't notice any progress. Right? You at least, you may not know what they're saying. You may not know what biquiera means. You may not know it. But at least you know that there's a word that is biquiere, and you may not know what it is, but at least it's there. You're getting used to the sounds, to the vowel sounds, to the consonant sounds, all this. Your brain's doing it, mostly in a subconscious way, and it's working. Alright. Yeah, now it will be complete madness to do this in 5 languages in one video. Maybe later. But for now, we have the most spoken language in the world, I think. Maybe, possibly, English. And we'll see you all next time. This is teacher Steve. Goodbye. Até próxima. Adios. Au revoir. What am I missing? A presto, ragazzi. Goodbye.